All right, Tyler Royke here. I'm here with my co-host Jimmy Doolin, and you're listening to ABC Agent Broker Conversations, where we talk all things real estate. And Jimmy, what's new with you? How was your Valentine's Day?
Valentine's was good, man. We had a good time. Last week we did a big seafood boil in the office, so that was a lot of fun. Crab and lobster and crawfish and shrimp and the whole nine yards. So that was a ton of fun here in the office. But probably the newest thing is went to bed last night or went to bed 2 nights ago. Woke up and yesterday morning and voila, we had snow. So we had been snow free for a while. So that was a little disappointing to wake up and see more of that white stuff on the ground.
Yeah, well, shoot, it got cold over here, like 30 again somehow, but I guess we're still in the winter time, more or less, right?
I saw that on the news that you guys were going to get some cold air. Cold air is a lot better than snow.
Yeah.
A lot better than snow. So anyway, I'm looking forward to my trip south to Dallas. We'll get to spend hopefully some good quality time talking with you and others, and hopefully it'll be decent weather. I haven't even looked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it'll be good to have you out here in Texas for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to it. So, what do you got on your mind for today?
Um, just yeah, I'm not sure if there's any like hot topics out there that you're seeing in the real estate world that you want to dive into or what, but yeah, I'm open to whatever the conversation is here.
Yeah, I am. I guess I probably am about as dialed in right now as it comes in terms of my attraction business. That is, I told you about my coach. I'll meet him today. It'll be I think it's our third session. And, I just, I know I've said this to you before, but I'm just feeling good because I've got a plan. I had two back-to-back calls where somebody answered. So many calls you make and nobody answers. You just leave a voicemail. But I had two back-to-back where someone answered. They were both female agents. And the first one went just swimmingly. It was great. I said the right things at the right time, and we moved that conversation along. And boy, the next one, it sounded like it was the first time I made a call, and it may even have sounded like I was in kindergarten. That's how bad I stumbled with it. But I'm just amazed at that process and how I could do it once so well, do it the next time so poorly. It just goes to show, no matter how many years you've been in the biz and doing the same things, it just takes practice and it takes constant practice and always looking to improve.
Yeah, well, that's reassuring to hear that because I think you would think that you'd have it so dialed in, but yeah, and I totally yeah, I've having had a lot of calls the past couple of weeks I've made, like I've definitely felt that way from here and there. Like, okay, I was really on it on this one, and then another one, it's like, what was I even saying? Like, how could I be this bad after doing this for as long as we have? But yeah, it's reassuring to hear that from your position.
Well, and I think lesson learned is you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, but you're fine, right? I mean, yeah, that lady may have thought, well, that guy's a goofball. I'd never work with him. Maybe she did. I don't know. Maybe she just thought, hey, I wasn't interested in what he was calling about, and that was it. I don't know the answer, but the bottom line is, I got up the next day and everything's okay, and there wasn't a billboard or a social media post out there that said, hey, if you get a call from this goofball, just hang up on him. So anyway, it all seemed to work out in the end. I'm following. I've got a 9-step plan, and I'm just following that 9-stepper and working my way through it. But I mean, man, I am communicating with a lot of people. We'll see if it's effective, if it's rewarding, if it's impacts my business. But certainly, I'm touching a lot of folks, and that feels good, at least on the surface right now. to be proactively doing a lot. I mean, our team right now, my goal individually is to add 100 agents that I direct sponsor, 250 agents that the team sponsors, so anybody in my downline, and then 150 agents that come out of individual offices. So, I might bring in one person, but they may have 30. So I want to see, so for a total of 500 people, obviously. And that's my plan. I just stare at it as I'm making my calls to try to keep me on track and on target.
Yeah, it's a dialed in plan right there. But yeah, I mean, just really being proactive, and so you basically know and have broken it down, so you know how many conversations you need to initiate per week to be on track to hit that goal, right?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it right here. I did break it down of how many individual calls, um, how many meetings, etc., that it would take to actually get there. So, my plan is 9 steps. It's email, call, LinkedIn message, LinkedIn connection, call, and then drop them into a long-term email, like a newsletter, like for my downline. Just kind of keeping people abreast of what's going on in both Clubhouse RE and EXP, etc. That's it in a nutshell. And it's, we'll see. I mean, I've got I've got some things. Some of these are, I'm 2 or 3 steps in, and they say, hey, I am interested in talking, but it's going to be 2 or 3 months from now before I really can, and that's fine. Some of these get moved out. Otherwise, I take them through this process in 30 days. So it's every other day an activity happens, unless I connect with them and it gets moved to something else. Otherwise, in 9 steps every other day. So basically, within 30 days, by the time you count in weekends, I've moved them through the process either to meeting, or I've moved them to a long-term drip.
And do you keep track of this all in a CRM that you use?
So I'm using Corded, and it's not technically a CRM, but it has these tasks. So I go into the task area, and I've just put in step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so when I go in, I complete a step, and then I mark that one complete, and then I add step. I just completed a bunch of step 2s right before we got on. So completed step 2, and then added step 3, and then I schedule it for 2 days from now. So it's not technically a CRM, but I'm able to use it that way. The only thing I haven't, and I'm not there yet, I don't have anybody in step 9 yet. The only thing I haven't gotten figured out is a newsletter. We've been trying to build one in Canva Pro that, because it's provided to us for free. And my wife built one, and she said, she didn't like it. And then she showed it to me, and I didn't really like it that much. So I've got to figure out, but those emails are just going to be, or that newsletter, excuse me, is going to be kind of one-offs where I'm talking to you. We get through step 8, I don't make any progress whatsoever. So I drop you in that email and just wait and see if you kind of recirculate up to the top. So that's the only part I don't have done at this point. And I'm not, have you ever really used LinkedIn? Have you ever been proficient in it? Did I ask you this before?
I'm not sure if you asked me or not, but I have a LinkedIn. Have I really ever used it or been proficient? I wouldn't say so, but I did make a post on it recently, and I think it got more views than I was expecting, which was kind of cool. So maybe I need to use it more in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, so my coach has got me, like I said, sending a LinkedIn message. Step 6. Step 7 is to send a LinkedIn connection. And I've just never really used LinkedIn. So um, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. That and the newsletter are I mean, I'm plugging right along. I've probably communicated with, well, I can tell you here. Um, let's see here. I've got in my corded activities in terms like of things that are out there. I've got 134 activities planned right now. So that's 100.
Like touch points.
Yeah, so that's 134 individual agents with either an email, a phone call. Some of them are far enough along that they're getting a LinkedIn message. So my goal is to do 5 individuals a day and 1 broker owner office, initiate communication with 1 broker owner office per day.
Does that mean like you actually are able to reach them? So you would have to call more people than that, or is that like reach out attempts?
That would be, attempts would count because the way that he has me doing it, the attempt, yeah, so it would be the attempt, because it's not just we're not viewing the attempt as a waste. We're the dialogue is building upon the attempt. So, when I make the first call, if I don't get you, I leave the voicemail and then follow up 2 days later, and then follow up 2 days later, and then follow, again, 2 days later. But we're building upon that to hopefully ultimately have a little bit of value, that the name begins to sound a little familiar, and maybe somebody becomes a little more inclined to have a conversation. It's non-threatening. I mean, I'm probably getting, I'll get, like this morning when I came in, I had 2 responses from messages I did on Friday. I didn't do any phone calls because it was, holiday and I didn't want to bother people, but I did send some emails. And this morning when I came in, I certainly didn't have responses from everyone, but I had 2 responses this morning. Oftentimes they don't think it's really me sending it. So oftentimes I'm confirming, yep, that's me. I hope you're well, something along those lines, or something maybe a bit more personal, just so that they know it's me. Because, most of these folks are in my local market. So they're people, not 100%, but there's a large percentage that I either know their name or they know my name, type of thing. So yeah, it's I'm and then those I moved to that I've connected with them, haven't really done anything. And then if somebody just says, hey, not interested, leave me alone, I just move them out and move on.
Okay. I mean, they don't even go on a long-term drip at that point.
Yeah, they'll go on the drip, but I just won't.
Gotcha.
Beyond the drip, and then once they get the drip, they could opt out of it if they so choose. Obviously, there's an unsubscribe button that legitimately does unsubscribe them if that's their choice. But I'm not trying to harass anyone, just simply communicating. I mean, no different than what I did with Remax, honestly, other than maybe a little bit more organized. Not maybe, definitely more organized. And I didn't have the tools that I have now. I think these tools are pretty slick, intuitive, simple, easy. So
Yeah, that's great. I'll
well,
have to show you my newsletter and see what you think about that, because
bring it up. Let's see it.
yeah, I feel like I really have it dialed in, so I can share that with you maybe after this or something.
Well, you want to show it on here?
I mean, I can't share.
Yeah, you can.
Can I don't know how to do that on here.
I don't either, actually.
Yeah, I'll show it to you after this.
All right. Yeah. What platform do you use for it?
It's an app. It's called Letterman AI. But I was thinking about this the other day because someone on my team was asking me about it, and I thought, I need to just do a tutorial on this, because I could give you the same tool to use, but you're not you're not going to figure out how to do the newsletter the same way I do it. So there's a couple additional steps that probably are worth some more context and explanation. But I feel like after the one I sent yesterday, I feel like I really got this dialed in. And that's probably yesterday was probably like the 16th newsletter I've sent or something like that. I do a weekly newsletter. So.
And how long does it take you each week to kind of put that thing together? I assume you built a format and then you're kind of moving one article out and moving something else in. And
yeah, I mean, I'd say it can take an hour, but I mean, it's possible that it can happen a lot sooner. Just a lot of that time, I'm just really out there looking for what content I want to put into the newsletter. So I'm like, looking through all these different real estate websites and I'm curating what I actually want in there. So I put a good amount of time into that, but that's a bulk of the time. Most of the time's not. Like, I don't really write anything. I'm kind of making sure that I mean, I use AI, but I also want it to be more in my voice. So again, there's a couple of additional steps I take, but yeah, like I said, I really feel like I've got it dialed in at this point.
Oh, well, man, I'm thrilled that I mentioned it to you because we're struggling with it now. Is that a paid platform?
It is, but it's a one time, and I don't know what the price is because I feel like they always change it. I think I got a good deal on it, but it might be more now. But yeah, it was a one time fee. It's not like a subscription or something like that.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad I mentioned it. That's the benefit of getting on here and sharing, right? Is being able to find something that you've got in a way that maybe you can help. It sounds like you could help us dial that in because we want a weekly newsletter. I definitely want it to be valuable. I don't just want to drop I don't want anybody else writing it for me and putting it all together because then it's not really me and it won't really, it certainly won't be me if I'm not involved in it in some way. So, but I also don't want this thing to eat up my wife's time. As she'll put the lion's share of it together. I don't want it to be a scenario where she's got 5 hours in it a week to try to get it ready. And I'm just, overloading her with a bunch of stuff. So
yeah,
sounds like you've got a good solution. Maybe I'll have food in mind. Everybody seems to know that that cooking is my thing. Hey, on a side note, did you see, this is totally irrelevant for real estate, but it is relevant for life and some of the sweeter things in life. Did you see that that Chevrolet opened up the build app for the ZR1?
Oh, okay. That's why I see different people, like car people, speccing them, so that makes sense.
Yep. You can go on now and build your ZR1, and they also I've been watching that car progress and come along. And the other thing that was announced yesterday, again, nothing to do with real estate, but we both love cars. Yesterday, they also announced, well, it's not formal, but it leaked that the Zora, the original designer of the Corvette ZR1, that he is that the Zora package will be offered in 2020 next year, they think, and it will be it'll be 400 horsepower of electric motors on the front wheels, so it'll be an all-wheel drive 1400 horsepower car.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that leak,
that is a monster.
that was a leak, or what was that?
Yeah, it was a leak. So it was some YouTuber guy that's apparently, obviously, I may have been a planned leak. I don't. What I got from the YouTube channel that I was watching is that this is not like a guy who would go out and risk his reputation with Chevy and Corvette, because he's somebody that as soon as they release a new car, they ship it to him so that he can do videos and stuff. So he's pretty tight with them. So I got the sense that if he's leaking it, it's probably an accurate leak coming from Chevy through a different format than just putting out a commercial or whatever.
I kind of wonder if they do that intentionally or if like truly it is a leak. You know what I mean? Because like think about how much conversation that actually causes when it does leak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of just a curious thought there.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like by the couple channels that I saw them talking about it, that they think it's probably a planned leak. That this guy wouldn't would not risk his relationship with GM uh, speaking out of school. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
And I wonder how far in advance. Yeah, we're like completely out of topic here, but maybe if anyone out there listening likes cars, maybe you'll like us more now as a result. But uh, the like I have a friend who he's someone who would know the right people in terms of this, but he was telling me years ago. I'm talking like over 5 years ago. It maybe more than that, but he was telling me, and this was like when the C8 was like just announced, so what year? I mean, it came out as a 2020 model year. So I think this would have been like 2019 again, if not maybe even before that. But he was telling me the whole lineup of like what was playing, like, and he was correct. Like you didn't know until years later it was announced, but he was telling me how there was going to be obviously the Z06, the ZR1, and then he was telling me about the Zora, and he knew this stuff like 6+ years ago. And so I'm wondering like, how far in advance do they actually plan that? And I guess it's just you got to know the right people that would know on these things. And he was even he told me specifics too. He knew that the ZR1 was going to be twin turbocharged. So, and again, I was just like, to me, it was all speculative, and then obviously came out later. It's like, oh, okay, he really did have the correct info on that. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about the R&D that goes into these kind of things. So it's got to take, it's got to be, they got to be working for 20, 30 cars in the background while they're trying to finalize any kind of tweaks for 2020. I mean, 2026 is probably, unless they release the Zora package, it would probably predominantly just be fixing anything that they experience in 2025, right? Little modifications, but yeah, it's exciting. I mean, so the other thing is I got all of my travel plans firmed up for Cabo. Having never been to Cabo, I'm super excited. My wife's excited. Looking forward to seeing what that's all about and learning from the best. I think the piece that makes EXP and like this Cabo trip so exciting is the success. I mean, some of these people, what they've achieved in terms of business acumen and their success is just phenomenal. I mean, so super excited. It'll be obviously my first exposure to all of that, but really looking forward to seeing what that trip's all about, and being in the room with all of those people, or being at the beach with all those people, or whatever the scene is in terms of working on our business. I guess it's all half day work and half day fun. It's what I'm kind of looking at on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours of masterminds in the morning, and then the rest of the day's there for everyone to hang out and do whatever they want. So, yeah, it's a really cool experience though to get to meet and know other people that are that have done some phenomenal things, and to kind of see what ideas come from that. Because a lot of people have been inspired by that event. That came to it, and like fast forward a few years later now, what they've done, but like. A lot of people, if you really dive into it, the Mexico trip is a part of their story. I mean, it's definitely a part of my story. It's a story I had heard prior to even feeling like I had a story. I heard other people just make reference of, how it was a pivotal point for them. So yeah, I'm always excited to see what people take away from it, especially when I, get any of my group there. So, and I always have a few people that come out. So it's usually, someone's first experience, and yeah, it's exciting to see what people do with that.
So you said it's a part of your story. Can you elaborate, like, kind of what was the turning point? Was maybe that's the question really, is what was really the turning point for you where it started to click and you began to have, it started building the kind of success that you're building upon daily now? Like when was that for you? And what was what was the instigator, I guess?
Yeah, so when I first got to the Mexico event, it was so it actually was because they've had it at a couple different places, but it was when it was at Puerto Vallarta, so not Cabo, but also a really nice place. And that was the first time I got there, and that was in 2020, right before the world shut down, literally the month prior, in February. So, and that was my first I'm sorry, my first Mexico experience, if you will. So, also the same event though is the Brent Gove Mexico event, and um, the way I got there, I was not planning on going, and honestly, like at that point, it was I would say the most trying time financially I had ever had. Except for like literally my first year in real estate, just trying to get my business off the ground. So, so yeah, at that point, because I was flipping, 3 properties, a couple weren't really going as planned of those 3, and one of them really wasn't going according to plan. So I was really kind of, strapped for cash and, just shelling out additional resources I wasn't planning just to keep things moving and ultimately get those properties to market. And, this was also, 6 months prior to this, I had gotten married and moved to a new market area. So I was kind of really counting on my fix and flip business really working out. And probably one of the most challenging aspects is these properties I was flipping were 3 hours away from me. So I was doing it in the market area I was familiar with, but again, I had moved 3 hours away. So there'd be usually at least 3 times a week I would literally just drive there. So I would have days where I would be like on the road 8 hours between driving there, back, picking up different things. And that was like 3 times a week. So I was really like pushing to make all these flips work. And I thought I would, just kind of build a business around that. And anyway, it wasn't going according to plan. And then, I had a friend, who's also, at that point was someone in my organization, reach out to me about the Mexico event. And, because like he was thinking about it, he knew I would be interested. And so he ran it by me, and I said, like it was about the last thing on my mind. I'm like, yeah, well, here's the thing. Like I'm strapped for cash. Like Mexico is not on the radar. I'd love to go. It's just the money is not there for it. And I kind of left
It's not a cheap trip either.
Oh yeah, by no means.
Because it's all inclusive resort. So I mean, I get it. It's a pretty big financial commitment. It's like a full on family vacation expense.
Yeah, like so for context, like the flip I said that didn't go very well. I was expecting to make 50K on it. I actually lost 30K on it. So like that's how big of a
swing.
So like yeah, it was a big swing. Which I didn't know that at this point in time that I would lose 30K on it, but it was a work in progress. But point being, it's like I was exhausting all my financial resources. I ran up a couple credit cards, 50K in the process, and that was at a point I didn't have like a bunch of money on credit cards. So anyway, yeah, Mexico was the last thing on my mind, but he followed up with me on it. He's like, hey, I get it. And he was at the same point financially, he was pretty in a tight spot. And he said, well, hey, let me ask you this. If I were to find a ridiculous deal on tickets to get us there, like, would you somehow find a way to swing it if it was a ridiculous deal? And I'm thinking, well, what does that even mean? A ridiculous deal? Like, I mean, and I told him straight up, like, dude, I don't know what a ridiculous deal would look like, but like, if you told me 50% off, I don't think I would say, like, I still couldn't swing that. Like, so, I mean, I'm open to the idea, but it really would have to be a ridiculous deal. And kind of left it at that. Well, sure enough, he found a ridiculous deal. Like, I mean, we know the cost to get there, but like, I think it amounted for each of us like $1,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I can't remember the specifics, but someone had like booked a room. They paid in advance. They got 2 tickets, and something came up. They couldn't make it. It was like getting down to the wire last minute, and they were already trying to let it go at a discount. And like I think he just made an offer on it, and they took it. And so anyway, yeah, it amounts to like $1,000 each for us to get there with the ticket and room. So anyway, that's how that ended up happening. So I got there, and again, I had to put on credit. I didn't have the cash for it. But I had heard the stories, and I believed that, what, getting there, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to get something out of it, though. It's going to be beneficial in some kind of way. And essentially what I got out of it is it put like pieces for me that I had like out there together in the vision. And basically, because I had this community that helped me get into real estate that, and even up to that point, I was very consistently coming back and seeing how I could help other people out within this community that were kind of on the same path as I was, that were, in the real estate business or getting into the real estate business. And like up to that point, I had started, and it was probably like a couple years in the making at that point, but I had been doing a weekly Zoom call for anyone interested in real estate. I would kind of facilitate it, host it, I was like pretty much out of everyone there, I was the most like senior person in the business. So like, people were looking to me for help, guidance, insights, on what they were doing or what they should do more of. And so that was already something I was doing, at least a couple years up to that point, maybe longer. And no, probably 3 years up to that point. And so what I didn't recognize, though, prior to the Mexico event is that was an opportunity. Like, I just felt like it was something I was doing, giving back, because I had, benefited so much from getting into real estate the way I did through the same community. But what I recognized from that event is like, hey, there's a bigger vision here. What if we could build something around this community? What if, this is, and that's kind of where it all came together. And so essentially from that point on, and that's pretty much in a nutshell, but like that community I'm speaking of, that's how in the past, now, I mean, that event was 5 years ago at this point. But since that point in time, I mean, I've personally sponsored over 100 people into the organization that came from that community. And that all came together as a result of, just ideas and insights and just inspiration that came from being at that event. And it's very hard to like say like, oh yeah, it was specifically this person who said this one thing. I mean, I can't dial it that far in, but I know I took something away from that very much inspired the actions I took next.
Nice. Well, you just get me more excited about this because I had the opportunity at EXPCon. I met Brett, and I don't think you could meet a more approachable, nice guy than him. I was really taken by his, I don't know, kindness. I mean, I can see why he's incredibly successful. I'm sure his work ethic's excellent. I don't know any of that personally, but from a person and from his approachability and just, I mean, we saw him, my son and I were together. It was shortly after I had sat down with you guys and ate. We bumped into him somewhere, and he, we got talking, had a nice dialogue about our past. He has some Remax in his past, as obviously I do. And so we had that kind of conversation. Then we bumped into each other somewhere else, and he's like, then it was like we were old buddies. He was given a hard time. He's like, how come Doolin can get in here and I can't? And he was like, so I was amazed at how quickly this guy moved the relationship. So anyway, I couldn't have been, that to me was really I mean, you had told me how wonderful of an event it is and how much I would get from it and enjoy it. And certainly going to some place like this with my wife is just a treat in itself. But when I had an opportunity to meet him and then see this person that certainly gave me the impression that they would be more than willing to help anybody they could, that really drew me to want to attend even more. So I'm beyond
a phenomenal person.
Yeah, I'm beyond excited. Now, do you get a direct flight out of Texas?
I mean, where I live, I've got to connect, but I think it's to Dallas, and then it's a direct flight from Dallas.
I suspected that would be the case. We're going to fly into Denver and then direct flight from Denver to there. So we're going to spend the night in Denver. That way, we're not doing a whole, day of just nothing but travel. So anyway, certainly, I'm very excited about it. Your wife's going, is that right?
Yep.
That's what I thought. Good. So we'll get an opportunity to meet her as well. I went on YouTube yesterday and looked at the resort. 14 restaurants. That was pretty cool, all inclusive. So
Yeah. I mean, solid. Yeah.
once you're there, it's just all about enjoying. You don't have to worry about anything. Just leave your wallet in the safe in the room, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, literally everywhere you go, all you can eat, all you can drink, anything you want, it's there. So
Well, and I think the most important thing about what you shared is just like you just never know where that little push or that nudge or that bit of information that propels you forward. I mean, what you're talking about is professionally changing your life after going there. And again, not a specific person, but multiple people sharing their stories. And you took away information that led you to build your organization the way that you want to build it. And that, I think that's what's most exciting about it is that you're only an idea away from incredible success. And now I'm sure for you, hey, what's the next idea that takes me to the next level, et cetera, just like anybody else. But, I think that's the most rewarding part about this is that you're an idea, a concept, a thought, a little bit of effort away from moving to places and accomplishing things that most never thought they could or never will. And I mean, you can really change your trajectory in your life and your business and other people's lives. And that's I don't know, it's just super cool how big the opportunity is and how big you can dream as big as you want, and along the way not hurt anybody, just help other people. And that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's an idea, and then really moving on it and taking that consistent action towards the goal.
Well, I'll certainly be all in, looking to get as much from it as I possibly can, because I have definitely benefited tremendously from sitting in rooms and listening to some great people share their stories or their experience or their challenge, etc. So yeah, I'm sure plenty of great things will come from this as well. Well, I think we're pretty much in that time range. You got anything else you want? Any other tidbits you want to bring along? I think our next one will be we'll shoot live together in Dallas, right?
Yeah, provided that we can find a room that doesn't have too much background noise and a good internet connection, right? So,
well, worst case scenario, I'm staying there. So worst case scenario, we can always. Well, you'll be staying there too. So
I'll be staying there. Yep.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking your trip was a couple hours in, but you're coming in on Sunday. So yeah, we'll make it happen, I'm sure. All right. Well, until next week, make it a great week. If you've got comments, suggestions, ideas, likes, dislikes, you want to get on here and you want to, I don't know, you want to tell us the ZR1 sucks. I don't know. You'd have to be pretty good to tell me that the ZR1 sucks. I've not driven it, not touched it. I haven't even seen it with my real eyes, I've seen it with my eyes, but not in person. But I would be surprised if you could convince me it sucks. But bottom line is, we welcome anyone and everyone to comment, like, share. We just want to have conversations about the real estate industry, what's going on, wins, losses, etc. And we welcome you to the conversation. So I'm Jimmy Doolin and my co-host Tyler Roike. We're here to talk with you all about real estate, all about what's going on. Until next week, have a great week.